Today, we're going to get into something pretty heavy, but absolutely crucial to understand. We're going to break down how the Nazi regime built a literal machine to control the thoughts and beliefs of an entire nation.
So let's just start with a really big question. Forget the specifics for a second, just think about the mechanics of it. How do you actually shape the mind of a nation? How do you get millions of people to believe the exact same thing all at the same time? It's a pretty sobering thought, right? But history gives us a chillingly clear answer. The Nazi regime didn't just hope this would happen. No, they had a chief architect, a man whose entire job was to design a system for that exact purpose. So let's meet the man in charge. Section 1, the Architects of Deception.
His name was Joseph Goebbels. He was the head of Nazi propaganda. And his job? Well, it was one of the most ambitious and, frankly, terrifying projects you can imagine, to grab hold of public opinion and never, ever let it go.
But this wasn't about winning a few arguments or an election. No, the goal was way bigger, way more total than that. Let's dig into what they were really after in our next section, shaping the public mind. And this is a really important point. When we hear the word propaganda, we might think of, biased news or a political ad. But in this context, it was defined as the systematic control of public opinion. That word systematic is the key. It means this was a machine, deliberately engineered, all-encompassing, and built on purpose. And you don't have to take my word for it. Here it is in Goebbels' own words. The goal was to shape the mind of the masses. See, this isn't about changing someone's mind on a single issue. It's about fundamentally rebuilding how people see reality itself. Okay, so if that's the end game, how on earth do you even begin to build something that powerful? Well, let's open up the propaganda toolkit and see what was inside. They built this machine on 4 massive pillars, designed to get their message everywhere and to silence everything else. It was a total takeover. You had the newspapers making sure the same stories were repeated day after day. Then you had the radio. They made cheap radios available to everyone, so the message was inescapable, in homes, in public squares. And films? Oh yeah, they produced movies to create national heroes and to demonize enemies. And finally, education, reshaping the entire school system to start indoctrinating kids from day one. But controlling all the speakers is only half of it. What you're actually saying, that's where things get really dark. Let's look at how truth becomes manipulation. And this is the heart of the whole strategy. The entire system was built on one big swap. Objective truth, facts, evidence, things that actually happened. It wasn't just twisted. It was actively torn out and thrown away. And in its place, they installed carefully crafted manipulation. It was like swapping out a computer's operating system. They used tactics like the big lie, a lie so massive, so audacious, that people would think, well, nobody could possibly make something like that up. And then they just repeated it over and over and over again.
And the result of all this is incredibly powerful. It wasn't just about spreading falsehoods anymore. It was about literally building an entirely new, state-approved reality. Because think about it. When every newspaper, every radio broadcast, every movie, and every teacher is telling you the exact same thing, well, after a while, it doesn't feel like a story, does it? For a lot of people, it just becomes the truth. Look, this isn't just a history lesson. This story from the past brings up some huge, really urgent questions about how information and power work today. Which brings us to our final thought, the echo of control. And so we're left with this question, one that bounces right out of the history books and lands squarely in our world today. When information is controlled, what happens to truth? That's something worth thinking about.